I've had the opportunity to work with Boone Pickens for the last several years. He's spoken before our caucus, and as he says, he's out of politics. But I'll tell you, he has a genuine desire and an American authenticity that you rarely find. He's committed to making sure that America is energy independent. He came before our caucus and laid out the facts. He said, heck, I'm for drilling. He said, I'm an oil man. And he said, but you got to face the facts. Facts are we have 4% of the world's population. We consume 25% of the world's energy. And we only have 2% of those reserves. He was advocating, pushing for wind and solar and geothermal and any kind of technology that will wean us off of dependency on foreign oil. What caught my attention, I was telling Timmy Monahan this, is that he said, you know, he said, I don't like it, having been a dealer all my life. When I see those OPEC countries in a room, together, huddled, and we're on the outside of that room. That's not an enviable position. We simply have got to stop exporting American dollars abroad. We have to invest American dollars here at home. Boone Pickens has a plan. We've got legislation, and we're going to make that happen.
You can't hear me, can't you?
Yes, I can.
Good. I don't speak from notes. I just watch the clock. And one time I was at Cornell, and a professor was going to introduce me, and he's sitting next to me at dinner, and he was very, very nervous. And I was trying to relax him, and I did just the opposite. He turned to me and he said, Mr. Pickens, I'm going to introduce you. How long will you be speaking? I said, oh, hell, I don't know, 5 minutes or 5 hours, whatever you want. And you could see the look on his face. He thought, 5 minutes is too short. 5 hours is crazy. And but he didn't say that. And so he thought for a minute. He's ready to get up now. And he leaned over to me and said, Mr. Pickens, I'd rather you speak closer to 5 minutes than 5 hours. Anyway, I don't speak long. I make my points pretty quick. But John's remarks about what we're trying to accomplish here is that for 40 years, America's had no energy plan. That's it. That's that simple. No energy plan. So what's happened to us is we've just kept importing more and more oil all the time. Our reserves going down, our production going down. We peaked in 1970, and we've come down from there. We're producing now 5 million barrels of oil and 2 million barrels of natural gas liquids. That's the same thing as oil, but 7 million barrels. We're using, as John said, 21 million barrels a day, and so we're producing 1/3 of that. So we're importing about 2/3 of all the oil we use. The huge transfer of dollars out of this country is the largest transfer of wealth in the history of mankind. And the sad part about it is that over half of that 2/3 that we are importing goes to what I consider to be countries that are not friendly to us, even to the point that they're enemies of ours. Venezuela, for instance, we buy 1,200,000 barrels of oil a day from Venezuela. What a cluck that guy is down there. And what he says about us, he hates us. And that oil will go, within 3 years, will go to China, just as soon as they have a refinery that can process 12 gravity crude and high sulfur. So that's that some of these countries cut us off from getting any crude from them. It then puts us in a very difficult spot. It would come down to pretty quick that you're either going to sell us your oil or we're going to come and get it, is the way it's going to work. Now, you say, it couldn't be that severe. Well, I'll tell you what, the option to that is everybody get on a bicycle. And I don't think that's going to be accepted. Now, there's 85 million barrels of oil available in the world every day. Remember, we're using 21 million of that. We're using 25% of all that. What do the Chinese do? The Chinese are number 2 to us on oil use. They're using 8.6 million barrels a day. My gosh, they're using 1/3 of what we are. Well, how's that? We're more highly industrialized. That's the way it is. But that doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot to the people in America when you say we're using 25% of the oil with 4% of the population. They say, well, that doesn't seem fair, does it? Well, of course, we're more highly industrialized than anybody else. I can tell you the rest of the world doesn't give a damn. They don't care whether we're more highly industrialized or not. Coal lobby, I'm working with the coal guys. Remember where I come from. I'm for anything that's American. And so I'm not, as even though I'm a geologist, one of the few geologists who believes global warming may be the case, I have, my biggest issue is security for America. And so the coal is providing 52% of our power in this country. And I have people say, I'd like to shut down all the coal-fired plants and put them on wind. Get real. That won't work. You can't create that much wind. And wind, you know, it's not, it doesn't blow 24 hours a day. Wind can be used, and I'm in the business of wind. But you work wind with solar and then peak it with natural gas. But it'd be very, very hard to shut down all the coal-fired plants in the United States. So the coal lobby is not causing us any trouble that I can see because we don't compete with coal. Now we compete with coal, natural gas does for coal on new power generation. But they're not trying to stop. I don't see any evidence of them on 1835.
No, I mean, obviously there's a very strong, you know, every sector of the energy economy certainly lobbies in Washington, D.C. And certainly depending upon the state, the region that you're in, you see quite a bit of representation. But I think also it's worth saying that we have the technology, the innovation, and the science to change things. And whether it's carbon sequestration or whether it's new drilling techniques, we see that faced with the choice of energy dependence and the continued exporting of American dollars overseas, or do we say, okay, what do we have available to us here currently? How do we make it cleaner? How do we do it more efficiently and more economically, and at the same time put Americans back to work?
You would be surprised, this old Republican, who my new best friends are. Al Gore and I have become very good friends.